Welcome back to another episode of the Smith and Hesson podcast. I'm Laura McGoldrick. Great to be back with you. Auckland now in level 3, so I'm a happy camper. I have had a fillet of fish from McDonald's. Ian Smith coming in from the Hawke's Bay. Smithy, I'm almost at the same level as you.
Yes, Laura. Well, you've always been a level above me anyway, to be fair.
Oh,
but
well.
Here's the thing. I can appreciate the fact that you can have takeaway coffee. You can calm your nerves. It's been a trying little time for all of us in the cricketing world, particularly us in New Zealand, who, for some reason, we're the villains in a lot of people's eyes. But here's the thing. Level 3's better. Level 2, hopefully not too far away. But at least we're home, which is more than we can say for our third colleague on this show, Laura.
Absolutely. Mike Hesson over at the IPL in Dubai. Hess, look, how are you going? Have you managed to secure a WMIQ spot? I hear there wasn't many people in the queue. There weren't many. Did you grab a spot?
No, I was one of many New Zealand citizens to miss out on the opportunity to get back home. Obviously pretty disappointed. Understand that, I'm one of many, but it certainly made for a pretty exhausting evening lining up and finding out where you sit. So, and then we had a pretty tough day at the office on the park as well. So, it wasn't a great 24 hours for me.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You went up against your old mate, Brendan McCullum, and his side, the Kolkata Knight Riders, and it was not the start I'm sure you were looking for the second part of this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's probably an understatement, Laura. We were certainly outplayed. KKR, we'd managed to have a couple of good victories against them the last couple of times we played, but we probably made a bit of an error at the toss in terms of batting on a pretty dry surface, and KKR spinners bowled really well. So to be fair, we were always behind the game, and we struggled to get back in it. And trying to defend 92, we were never in the hunt. So plenty to work on, but also not too much to dwell on. I mean, these things can happen. In T20s, in many ways, you'd rather get blown out of the water than come so close and not get over the line. So we'll be fine come a couple of days.
Smithy, there's quite a few Kiwis in action there. We had Kyle Jamieson for Hess there, figures of none for 26. Lockie Ferguson, pleasing to see him, 2 for 24. What did you make of that first matchup for old Hess?
I was really surprised, disappointed for Hess, of course, because you don't expect that to happen when you've got a pretty power-packed side, and you do kind of expect that they'll hit the ground running, because it's only a half a competition. You haven't got a lot of room to move from this point onwards. So very disappointed from his point of view. I'm still at a bit of a loss, and I'll ask Hess a wee bit later about Virat Kohli, where he's at, in the view of he's made a couple of announcements in terms of what he wants to do in the future. But for his immediate time, I wasn't quite surprised. I think it's quite important that he comes right. Clearly, he is the money player. But where is he at the moment? And I guess Hess might have a better answer than that. In fact, I'll say to Hess now, I mean, he's withdrawn from the captaincy of the T20 Indian side. He's already advised your administration that he wants to stand down as the captain, Royal Challengers Bangalore. Have you noticed a difference in him in the time that you were with him originally in this competition to now?
Look, I think he's now that he's got those decisions out of the way, I think he's a little bit more relaxed in terms of now it's going to relieve a little bit of pressure in terms of time constraints. Obviously, a new father, captaining India, captaining any international side for potentially being involved for 9 years. It's incredibly time consuming, and it takes your life away from you. So I think the ability to alleviate some of that stress with giving up that captaincy has created a little bit of relief. And I can tell you from a batting point of view, he's certainly putting in the extra work to make a massive contribution for us. And he's very much committed to RCB, in terms of as a player. So I think that was a relief for everybody. And, obviously everybody loves him at RCB, and we're pretty lucky to have him. So, I would expect him to go very well in the remaining 6 games or more, hopefully. And he's certainly putting in the extra work behind the scenes. So very focused. And as I said, I think it's probably just a little bit of a weight off the shoulders moving forward.
Yes, I'd love to know how you approach when you come up against coaching a player of Virat Kohli's caliber, and you're only coaching him for an extended period of time, a little period of time there in his year. You've also got AB de Villiers and Glenn Maxwell. I mean, it's not your responsibility at this level to tinker with anything, I imagine. So, what do you say to your big players when it comes to these matches, these IPL games?
I think it's more about asking questions in terms of generally when you work with any new player, you want to get to know them and how they've got to that point in their career. So in terms of technique, in terms of the coaches they've had, in terms of things that they want us to keep an eye on. So generally that's all it is right, what are one or two things that you want us to keep an eye on as coaches that work for you? So it could well be your preliminary movement. It could be just your balance at delivery. It could be your head position. So for every player, it's slightly different. So rather than looking at it at a clear, like an empty window and looking at someone for the first time and trying to want to tinker with them, you're generally narrowing it down and going, well, okay, yep, head position's good. Maybe you get further across with your back foot. Maybe your head's getting out of line. There's things like that you can just ask them in terms of what do you want us to work on. You're certainly not going to be reinventing the wheel. It's purely what you want is that when they leave the nets, they're feeling good and they're feeling confident about their own game. So it's about just narrowing that focus in terms of the questioning.
Smithy, someone who's got to be feeling pretty confident about his own game at the moment is Adam Milne. I mean, he ended up 2 for 21 for Mumbai the other day, and he's looking good. He's looking very, very good. An injury-plagued career to this point. What have you made of him?
Well, his body shape's changed as far as I can see. He was just a will-o'-the-wisp when he was bowling and breaking down. That was his issue. He didn't have any substance around him. So he's now bigger, stronger, and more reliable. And I think that's the key word when you come to Adam Milne. When you're looking to pick him for higher honours, you want to know that he's not going to be replaced after half a session or half a game or half a tour. And so now he's put himself into that reliable bracket. He's also bowling quick, but he's bowling more cleverly than he has done in the past as well. So I think his further development is excellent, absolutely brilliant for New Zealand cricket. He's not going to be in the World T20 for us, barring injury. He's there as the 16th man. He's back up. And now Lockie Ferguson knows there's two guys in this country, and maybe with Sears coming through as well, three guys with genuine pace. Genuine pace. It's not a free wide. You're just not going to get picked because you're quick anymore. There's competition in that specific area of the fast bowling unit. Great news. Adam Milne, only a plus for me.
Let's talk about the Blackcaps, Smithy. A lot's changed since we last spoke. We were getting ready to watch them take on Pakistan in Pakistan for the first time in 18 years, and that was not to be. Obviously, the Blackcaps having to abandon their tour because of a security threat. What have you made of the whole situation?
I think it's very sad. I'd sympathised a lot with Pakistan over the years with what they've had to put up with. Not through any cricketing problems either. I mean, they're only there to play cricket. They're not involved in the war side of things. They're not involved in the terrorism side of things. So they've been victims in that respect. So they've patiently been waiting, to get cricket back so they can play in front of their home crowds. It finally arrived. 2 or 3 sides have been there unscathed, and all of a sudden this happens with us stuck right in the middle of it again, as we have been in the past. I'm not quite sure why it's us that's around these things, but gee, we've been out of Sri Lanka twice, we've been out of Pakistan once, and now Pakistan again. This is the first time, though, Laura, that we've been confirmed as the target, and that is a very dangerous thing. So I applaud what New Zealand cricket did. They could have no other means to operate. They had to get the players out. And I've been not surprised or disappointed. It's just the way that Pakistan have reacted, because they're hurting. And they can see now, particularly that England have pulled out as well, both their men's and women's teamers. They can't see a future. We can look at from afar and say it'll be a while before teams go back, but they're looking at it in a different way, because they're thinking it could be a long time till teams actually come and see us again. So another generation of Pakistan cricketers won't have the right or the honour of playing on their home surfaces, the way things are shaping up. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. There's no upside to it at all. Our guys missed out on a valuable time in their life because outside of these stupid incidents, Pakistan is quite a fascinating place. And to do well in Pakistan improves your game as a cricketer. It's a great challenge, and they've missed out on that. So there's no winner at all. Laura, you're very much part of it. You can't deny that. You're married to a bloke that was there. I mean, what are you feeling? What are you feeling while this is going on?
Well, to be honest, Smithy, I mean, Martin Guptill is my husband, obviously, for those who don't know, and he was really excited to be in Pakistan, felt very safe, and they took great care of them. But New Zealand cricket did the only thing that they could, and that was to get them out of there. And it was a really scary time for the families back here as we were waiting and wondering what was going on. And it's really sad. It's sad for all cricket fans, but particularly those in Pakistan. And I can't imagine how long it's going to take to get back to a point where international teams now tour there. I mean, Hess, what did you think? You're a coach. What would you be saying to your troops on the ground if this was something that they were going through?
Well, I guess I see the guys firsthand because the New Zealand players moved into our hotel, and we've got a mezzanine floor, so I was actually able to sit there and talk to some from a distance. And, they were genuinely concerned. There's no doubt about that. And you're right, they felt safe in Pakistan. But as soon as the news came through, there was only one decision. And I think there was an element of relief in terms of the fact that, they were in Dubai. They felt like they were safe. But they would genuinely had care for Pakistan, and they genuinely wanted to play. So I think the anger and frustration that's directed towards the players, I think, is wrong, and I think it's not really understanding the emotions that they're going through. I mean, these guys are half an hour away from jumping on a bus to prepare for a one-day international against a very good side in tough conditions. That's their focus. They're not making these decisions. They're relying on people that are informed to make decisions in their best interest, and I think that's what's happened. But they are disappointed that they missed out on that cricket opportunity, but they're also relieved that they're now not in that position. Yeah, from a cricket point of view, you try and keep the players focused on the job at hand and try and let the administrators make those other decisions.
It was a big tour for a lot of players, a lot of young New Zealanders, Ravindra, Sears, as you mentioned there, Smithy, but it got a whole lot bigger once they got to Pakistan. There's going to be plenty to talk about when they do land in New Zealand and tell their mates all about their experiences. Were there any standouts in the cricket that we did get to see for you from a New Zealand perspective in terms of the depth we have got in this country at the moment in our cricket?
Yeah, but look, there is. I mean, because there were encouraging performances, and that's what you look for. Every now and then you'll find an absolute gem, someone who's a standout just like that and adapts to this pressure and the conditions quicker than others. I wouldn't say there was anyone like that, but it confirmed, that Ajaz Patel is ready and waiting and developing really well, maturing as an international spinner with greater respect all the time. He needs more exposure. He needs more games. For Ravindra, as you said, McConkey, Sears, all these blokes have worn the uniform now. They've achieved that dream. Now they have to start justifying their presence in it. And that was so one of the other sad things about that. It's curtailed that immediate development in those players. Look, great signs. I mean, this you ask Hess if we're a chance. I think we're a big chance. We know now how to handle a big occasion. We know what it's like to win one. We won the World Test Championship. We also know what it's like to lose one, and we've learnt from that if we could. So, hey, look, I think this is big. I think this is a real big opportunity, and I'm genuinely quite excited about our chances of getting really close to bringing that trophy home. And I'm not saying that because I'm the ultimate optimist or I've got $10 on us to win. It's because if you look at it overall, I think we're probably one of the most organised sides, the most together unit, and all the players that are going to be key to us are getting really good experience in those conditions leading into it, which is quite a rare opportunity.
Oh, you're getting me all excited for cricket now, Smithy. Oh, my Lord, Smithy said we're going to win the World Cup. Some of the other players we got to see more of, one that stood out for me was Will Young. He is a player who is almost a little bit of a victim of circumstance, that he's had Ross Taylor and the like sort of in his way, meaning that he hasn't been able to make an impact in the New Zealand jersey just yet. But seeing him over there, knowing that he's going to play all of the games, I thought there was a real sense of assuredness about the way he went about his business.
Look, I think his progression's been really nice. I mean, he's filled the gap. I mean, he made his Test debut as an opener. I mean, he'd hardly ever opened in his whole first-class career, so he'd always batted at 3 and then he batted at 4. So he filled in whatever gap was available at the time, and he did it very well. In the longer form, when he got an opportunity in one-day cricket, he showed his ability to score around the wicket. And then in T20 cricket in New Zealand, he got a 50 very, very quickly against Bangladesh, and he showed that he's got power. So he's an all-round player. He's matured over a long period of time with the Stags. He's had a lot of captaincy experience, so he understands the game. He understands a number of different tactics, so he would have developed his game from there. And then Bangladesh, again, in Bangladesh, is completely different than he ever would have experienced. And I thought the way he progressed, from the start of the tour to the end, in terms of developing different shots that became effective on those surfaces. He brought the reverse lap out. He brought the sweep out. We know he can come down the wicket and hit down the ground, but he used his feet to access ones as well. Look, he never got a big score. I mean, he got close to, he got a 50 or close to it on one occasion, but he got a number of contributions in low-scoring affairs, which just showed how good he can be. So I think we've got a ready-made replacement in any form of the game if we need one. So really pleased to see how he stepped up. And I'm sure he would have gained some confidence from that tour as well.
It was great to see Will Young in action, finding his feet in international cricket.
Guys like me and a lot of guys around the squad now have had to be patient and make the most of domestic opportunities and New Zealand A opportunities, and slowly climb that ladder to get the opportunities with the silver fern on the chest.
Yeah, obviously Will has had to wait a while before he got his debut. Obviously he travelled with the Blackcaps quite a bit until he got his opportunity to debut. But I think ever since then his game's just continued to grow.
Yeah, it's sort of my career has gone through different phases, and it was awesome to get a taste of what international cricket was like a few years ago, and sort of to prove to myself and to others that I'm capable of playing at that level. Although I had the time off afterwards, it was nice to bank that experience and get hungry for further opportunities in the future. With the layoff, as long as some surgeries can be 6-9 months, even up to a year, your mind certainly wanders, and it's nice to sort of get away from the game, but you inevitably start thinking about why you play the game and what you want to achieve. I used the time to get a bit of study in and to set up a wee foundation or trust to give back to grassroots cricket in Taranaki. So it was quite nice to establish why you play the game and make sure you get the most out of it in the years to come. I'm from CD, I've played for the Stags all my career, so it's awesome when guys like Ross Taylor come back, because you can sort of pick their brains a bit and just have chats around what works, what doesn't, and sort of get excited for what's to come in the future.
In this environment he's doing a great job of making sure he talks to a lot of those senior batsmen and gets as much knowledge from them as possible. And I know that when I was out of this environment and back with the Stags, every time Youngie was coming back, you could see how much his game had actually grown in being in this environment and training with the boys, even though he wasn't getting playing opportunities.
Proving myself in the white ball formats took a little bit longer, and towards the back end of last season managed to get those opportunities.
I think there is a lot to look forward to from him when it comes to cricket and for the Blackcaps. So I definitely think he's got a lot to offer for New Zealand cricket, and I really look forward to seeing him play a bigger part in the future.
It's great to get those opportunities, and I'm keen to make the most of it and prove that I'm not just a red ball player, that I can play all formats and see what happens from there.
Let's talk about the White Ferns, whose tour of England continues. They did receive some backlash, I guess, from what happened with the Blackcaps in Pakistan. That was a bit of a shake-up before their ODI. Some superb performances that we have seen from these athletes over there, Hess. We talked about momentum, taking it from the T20s, and you'd have to say that it is working in the ODIs as well.
Well, once again, they've competed in all three, which is great. And the fact that they got that W in the third game will just give that group a bit of confidence. And I think we've talked about, the one-day record the last 2 or 3 years significantly over the last, year or so. But to see them beat England in England was a really fine achievement. And also the fact that Leah Tahuhu was back to her best. She got the new ball this time, attacked the England top order, was able to take early wickets. And then Maddie Green, not one of the big three, so we didn't rely necessarily on the same players. The fact that Maddie Green scored her first 50 since 2018, but she went on and was not out at the end of a chase, which is what you want from your number three. So, the White Ferns have made some changes in their batting order. Maddie Green's gone up, so they've tried to split that experience with Satterthwaite and Devine at 4 and 5. Look, it's starting to show some balance and some depth in that batting order. So, really pleased to see New Zealand get over the line. The second game, rain interrupted, but that was a great opportunity for the White Ferns again to get over. They didn't quite do it, but the fact they're in the same position in the third game, and they did, will provide plenty of confidence. So, really, really pleased to see the fact that we're learning, we're improving, and we also look like we've got a plan. I think that's one of the things we've talked about over time is that there's a little bit of chopping and changing, a little bit of shuffling around in terms of where are we going to put our best players. I think they've decided Susie Bates is not a number three. She does have to open. That's where all of her success has been. Therefore, Devine's got to bat somewhere else. So the fact Satterthwaite and Devine at 4 and 5 looks pretty good for me in one-day cricket.
Molly Penfold, a good Auckland athlete there, making her debut for the White Ferns and making an impact in those conditions. And, that has got to be pleasing, Smithy. You've watched a lot of cricket over the years to see that there is some depth when it comes to women's cricket as well in this country.
Well, you need depth going into a World Cup, and you need a depth with experience and confidence. And that is what's finally coming out of this. I've been one of the biggest I think critics, to be fair, and I have no problem being a critic of women's cricket because it's a professional outfit. They get all the support that they've been wanting, and they've been, they're treated very, very seriously. So they should be analysed in that way as well. So I'm very pleased, like Mike, that they're showing that depth. The bowling unit looks quite good, actually. The bowling unit has troubled England on all those three occasions, and as Hess said, it's great that the big three don't get you home every now and then, because that's where you get your confidence from, knowing that even if you're sitting, waiting or watching, that you're not out of it if you have a bad start. You've got someone who actually can look back on an occasion and say, well, yes, I batted through. I got 70 not out. My best performance for quite some time, and I'm finding it at just the right time. I'm finding it, I can draw on that, because make no mistake, doing well against England is hugely confidence building for this team. England will be a big player in the World Cup back here in the new year. They'll be a big player. Having said that, man, Australia just annihilated India the other day, chasing down 220 odd, losing only 1 wicket. Australia, absolute favourites. But New Zealand, with the home advantage, knowing that we've actually won it here before, a while ago it might have been, there's a nice little, I'm not saying in the same confidence, Laura, that I have for the men's T20 World Cup team. I'm not giving you that one, okay? But I'm
we're going to get
confident.
close in the World Cup.
I'm confident in credibility I wasn't seeing a month ago. How's that? I wasn't seeing this a month ago.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I think that wraps up all the cricketing news from us tonight. Smithy, I want to thank you so much. Please don't throw a golf club again on the golf course this week, eh?
Can I just say, just a final note on the Pakistan thing? Look, I've known Ramesh Raja for a long time, played against him, commentated with him, travelled around countries doing World Cups with him. His reaction has been bitter. It's been very sour because he's hurting very badly as a proud Pakistani, and he's under pressure. He's under a lot of pressure to deliver a product to their country, and he thought he was going about it the right way. Well, that's been stopped. So this is, for me, it's not the Ramesh Raja I know. but Ramesh Raja in a couple of months, I think might have he might have the same sentiments, but I think he'll express them in a different way. We've got to remember, it wasn't that long ago that a terrorist attack in this country curtailed a cricket tour. Bangladesh, of course, they weren't the targets, but they were very close by. And the way New Zealand accepted their plight and let them go about getting out of the country, getting home to their loved ones as quickly as possible, reassuring everybody, was absolutely superbly done by David White and New Zealand cricket. I think Pakistan should remember that we've experienced that close hand as well. And it's not the first time for us overseas either. So it's the right outcome. And I think, I feel for, I know Imran Khan, I feel for him. For God's sake, he's the Prime Minister. I feel for those guys because I know how much they love cricket and playing cricket at home. But we did it right. We did it right when it happened here. We did it right when it happened there. End of story for me.
Thank you both so much for your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Best of luck, Hess, for the next match. I mean, just think it can't be as bad as that last one, eh?
Yeah, thanks, Laura.
Always the optimist. I'm trying to do a smithy for you.
Yeah.
You guys take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.